A few weeks ago on Everything You Need to Know, we talked about which boat we buy with a $20,000 limit, and I personally kind of landed on buying a CNC 34. And 34 is a great size boat to do just about anything you'd want to do on $20,000. But what if we wanted a little bit more? What if we had more to spend and our brow was a little bit higher? This week on Everything You Need to Know, the $30,000 sailboat. When we looked at $20,000 boats, we were bombarded with Islander 36s, CNC 34s, a bunch of old Choi Lees, but upping the ante to 30 grand actually kinda sucks. Seriously, looking around at the used boat market, there really are only 2 or 3 boats worth entertaining sort of in this price bracket, although they are 2 or 3 boats that are very, very nice. $20,000 should buy you a nice, older sort of racer cruiser in the 30 to 36 foot range that is sort of mediocre in its condition and its level of equipment. A middle of the road sort of family boat that you could go cruising on, that you could sleep on, spend a week on, and you could race it on the weekends. So $30,000 should then buy us something a little bit bigger, a little heavier, a little more house-like with more space inside, a bigger galley and a bigger head, more headroom, a longer waterline than a 35-footer would have, and more importantly, a better quality boat. One of the first things that start popping up at 30 grand is the mighty and beloved Alberg 37. I love this boat, I truly do. If the Alberg 30 is my favorite sailboat ever, and it is, then this is its big sister, longer, stronger, and just better. You can even get it in a yawl, if y'all like that sort of thing. Here's one on Lake Michigan that looks amazing. This one in particular was repowered with a Yanmar, so big points there. It comes with 14 different sails and lots of extra stuff to save you money down the road, which is sort of typical of these boats. You get a lot of extra stuff. There is a bigger problem with Alberg, though, that we'll get to in a minute. But this one in particular, while being a truly world-cruising hull, it's very dated. Here's another one in Nova Scotia this time, and this one is the yawl. I've looked at the yawl before, and it just wasn't for me. They balance better, and they have more sail area, and for long passages, that's important. But for me, the added complication and maintenance of a whole extra mast and extra rigging, it just isn't worth the sort of bang for buck for me. Here's another one in Buffalo, and this one is actually beautiful and in amazing condition, and a very tidy and well-kept example of this legendary boat. It was repowered with a Perkins in 2021, so it's basically a brand new diesel, and it's only $25K, which is a bit cheaper than the other ones we looked at. This is the one I would buy. The price is outstanding. The condition looks wonderful. I'd actually love to go see it, and it's just up in Buffalo. Ready to head back either to the Great Lakes for its sailing life or to point the pointy end east and head for an ocean adventure. For someone who loves Carl Alberg and all of his boats, though, I do seem to have a knack for pissing off the Alberg Association, and I really don't mean to. But I do have a beef with this particular boat, this hull, this design. And maybe it's just me, but I can't get past how dated the design is now. And I only really mean the interior. I love the exterior. And for someone who lived on a boat for years, which I have, I know what's important to me and what makes a boat comfortable. And this boat just doesn't have it. It never really has. I might argue that it is one of the most beautiful hull designs in the world. I just couldn't live with the cabin. Or the cockpit, for that matter. This boat is just tight, no matter how you slice it. Now, I know some of you don't mind that, and you would buy this boat in a heartbeat, and for good reason. It's a great boat. These have been around the world so many times, and there are so many of them out there still doing it. If you want to go see this one, please let me know. I want to come. For my 30 grand, I want the bulletproofness of the Alberg 37 with an interior that I can live with. So let's keep looking. Another thing you see a lot of in the $30,000 price range sort of neighborhood are these race boats, and there's a lot of them. And I don't mean purpose-built race boats, but ones that do have a little bit of a cabin that you might actually be able to live with. Here's a great looking Formula 42 footer, and the 30 grand market has a lot of these. And while they're a ton of fun, these boats. If you're watching this channel, though, I'm going to assume that this cabin is not what you're looking for, so let's stay away from race boats. There are also some very interesting sort of one-off boats, not huge production runs, things you don't see very often, but they do show up in this price point. Like this, a steel Bruce Roberts ketch that looks like it's certainly seen thousands of miles, but comes very well equipped. This 43-footer comes with everything from radar, dinghy davits and a dinghy, a generator, tools, spare parts, and on and on. This thing likely could go anywhere, but as the owner actually says in the ad, it is designed and equipped purely as function over form, which to me means it's kind of a mess, and it is. A steel boat like this also comes with its own learning curve for maintenance and care along the way, but steel hulls are very amazing and a really good option. We did an Everything You Need to Know on steel boats, and you can see it by clicking the link at the top right here. This one would be a top contender for me in the 30 grand market. This is a Newport 41, and this one is in great shape. This is a CNC design, and it shows. Look at how well kept the thing is, too. I can't believe it hasn't sold yet at 28 grand because it's worth every penny, other than the fact that it's in San Diego, which would be a problem for me. This boat was repowered in 2013, and the design is so modern that you'd swear it's from the mid-90s. But this boat is actually a 1981. You even get solar and a self-steering vane for the price, which is absolutely unbeatable. Why has nobody bought this thing yet? We're also going to see a few Cal 39s in this price range, and it is hard to argue with one of these if you're going cruising. The tidy Lapworth design is everything you could ask for in a cruising boat, with a hull that actually wins races, in case you're into that sort of thing too. The interior of the Cal 39 is roomy, and while this one is actually very well thought out and in amazing condition, you're getting a lot of boat for your 30 grand here. And there are a few of them on the market, so you can kind of shop around. I don't think she's a head turner by any means, but you will get a heck of a lot of boat for the price. Lady K Sailing is brought to you by patrons, people who give a couple of bucks an episode to make this whole channel possible. I want to give a special shout out to this week's newest patrons. We have Kurt, we have Thomas, and we have Cole. Thank you guys so much for joining the team, and thank you everybody for making this channel possible. I'll be honest, before doing this episode, I kind of already knew what I would buy for 30 grand, and I was just hoping that I was sort of right, that there would be some of these boats on the market, and I was happily surprised because there is. My $30,000 boat needs to be bigger and heavier. It has to be wide and roomy and able to go anywhere that I could ever want to bring it. I need room for dinghy davits, I need room for solar panels, I need a water maker, as well as a buttload of anchor and chain. I want something you look at and immediately think rock solid, thick glass, heavy layup, but still able to charge windward in 20 knots of breeze without batting an eye. I also want a little bit of wow factor, not just a traditional boat like the Cal 39, which is an amazing boat, but something more that people want to have a tour of when they see it parked at the dock. Something a little bit more special. A boat that people talk about and admire because it's just a really nice, capable boat. And it's unique, which leads me to my point. For 30 grand, I would buy an Endeavour or a CS. And there are a few of those for sale. And I have some experience with both. Here is a great example of what I'm on about. This is an Endeavour 37. There are two of these at my club, and everyone loves them. This one is pretty bare bones, but everything about this boat just says thick and heavy, well made and ready for anything. The 37 can be hard to find, and usually they sell for a lot more than 30 grand, but there are a few out there that can be had right now, in and around 30 grand. I'd act fast though, because they don't last at this price point. I've seen these things go as high as 70 or 80 grand when they're well equipped. This is a roomy, full keel boat that may not be winning all the races, but it will sail in just about anything you throw it into. One of the ones at my club is so heavily done and so amazing, you can't even imagine what's been done to it. It has a bow thruster that was installed. This is an 80s boat. It has a windlass, it has a massive anchor, tons of chain, it's got solar, huge battery bank. Even the keel was extended to better its weatherhelm performance. Plus, the Endeavour is beamy, and it gives you a feeling of huge amounts of space inside for a 37-foot boat, way bigger than it should feel. And nothing in there feels tight or super dated like a lot of the boats in this price range. I did a full episode on Endeavours that you can see right here if you'd like to watch it. The other one on my list is the CS36, and you may have never heard of this if you're in the southern part of the US or anywhere outside North America, because CS stands for Canadian Sailing. The CS36 is another absolute tank that is ready for anything, and similar to the Endeavour, she's a big girl with a lot of space inside. Everything about this boat to me screams well done, well built, roomy, and tough as nails. I've sailed on one of these straight into 25 knots, and honestly, I couldn't even tell it was blowing that hard. We had the Dodger in front of us, and the boat didn't bat an eye. It might as well have been 10 knots of wind. They don't creak or moan or bounce around. You just set the trim and the boat will simply get on with it. Now, I see the CS go for way more than 30 grand, and when they are for sale, it's usually for about 2 weeks before they're completely gone. So if you want one, do not sleep on these things. I have a friend trying to buy one right now, and every time he finds one for sale within 500 miles of us, it's gone before he can go see it. In the 30 grand price point, honorable mention, there are a lot of Catalinas and C&Cs in the high 30-foot range that are worth looking at, but we only have so much time to talk about boats during one episode, so we'll get to those another time. What would you buy for 30 grand? What would you like to see on an episode of Everything You Need to Know? And yes, we are going to get to Southern Cross, and we are going to get to Aloha. I know there's a few of you that really want to see those two. We will get to those. I will see you guys next week. Until then, keep the heavy side down.